we're now in the last frantic fortnight of the election campaign and it could still go either way. Even at 48-52 to Labor in Channel 9's Ipsos poll, this is still anyone's race. But News poll, the one insiders trust, well, it has it at 49-51, with Scott Morrison's lead as better PM increasing, Bill Shorten's unpopularity rising and Labor's primary vote falling. Now, I keep reminding people in the media who are long on spin and short on the arithmetic because it's the coalition in a minority government. There's been a couple of redistributions against them and, of course, they need to win seats to survive. Scott Morrison has to still be the undisputed underdog. But the momentum is very much his way and has been for the whole campaign. That in itself is telling because despite being ahead in the polls for 3 years, sometimes miles ahead, voters haven't warmed to Bill Shorten. And if these polls are right, they haven't warmed to Labor's policy agenda either. Perhaps yesterday's Labor launch explains why. Now, Labor can talk on and on about stability and unity, but Paul Keating, Kevin Rudd and Julia Gillard, all of them front and centre yesterday, well, each of them got the top job by knifing someone else. And all Rudd and Gillard have in common these days is that Shorten's knife got them both. And then there's Penny Wong. Now, I've had a lot to do with her in the past. I attended briefing after briefing for the then opposition leader when she was in charge of Labor's emissions trading scheme under Rudd. And I had more contact with her again when Labor was back into opposition and I was working for the Prime Minister. Now, I've always found her smart, good-humoured and decent. But not yesterday. Here was Penny Wong, Labor's would-be new Foreign Minister, at the party's official campaign launch in Brisbane.
And they will give it all away for nothing more than a handful of votes in a handful of seats from a handful of haters. And this isn't just something the Conservative parties do, it has become who they are. For all the chaos and division, from Abbott and Joyce through to Morrison and McCormack, what they really have in common is this. They are small men. Small men with small ideas.
Imagine if a right-wing male MP had said of Labor, they're small little women with small ideas, or even worse, they're big women with little ideas. I tell you, the Twitter outrage, if that had come from a Conservative bloke, indeed any male, well, it would have been nuclear. To say Penny Wong, you're better than that. But Labor is now so confident it's going to win that it thinks condensation and abuse rather than argument is the game plan. And I can tell you from my conversations with marginal seat voters in Queensland and Victoria over the weekend, if it's not cost of living that's front of mind, it's political correctness. And people are fed up. Yesterday's pitch from Shorten was styled as fair go economics. And with Labor doing their best to buy votes, the only one who doesn't get a fair go is the poor old Australian taxpayer who's expected to fund this desperate spending spree. Maybe if we hadn't all lived through the Rudd-Gillard years, voters might be willing to give Labor a go when it comes to handling money. But after the waste and harebrained schemes of those post-Howard years, there's no trust left when it comes to Labor and the budget. And if they get elected in 2 weeks' time, we'll see more than $200 billion worth of new taxes on our most productive parts of the economy. We'll see nearly $200 billion worth of tax cuts foregone. That will hurt Middle Australia. There'll be much more power to the unions that will make everyone less productive and much more, quote, action on climate change. They won't stop storms, floods, fires and droughts, nor will it do anything globally, but it will put up your cost of living and send jobs offshore. Today, there was even this. Despite saying that they will be a safe pair of hands when it comes to national security, well, Labor are now refusing to participate in a debate on national security against Peter Dutton. And they're even refusing to say who will be the Minister for Home Affairs should they form government. Are they serious? Carlton won't cost their policies, and now Carlton won't tell us who's responsible for protecting us from terrorism and keeping our borders safe? This is about as arrogant as it gets. And I reckon it's precisely because the public can see through this make-believe, the lies and the obfuscations, that a Labor win is no longer a foregone conclusion.